Hi everyone, I thought I'd do a video because I've not done one in quite some time now, for obvious reasons, I wanted to focus this video around trying how I've been managing my recovery alongside the loss of Rico. Of course, you all know it was very, very sudden, I think it doesn't make it any easier losing somebody when you know that they're ill, but when it's like 1 minute you've got somebody you love who's fit and healthy and nothing's wrong, and the next minute, just like that, like literally they've died, and it's like, what the hell just happened? That's what it was like for me. Like, I think I'm not in denial, don't get me wrong, I'm not in denial. Like, I do know that he's passed away, but it's still like, what the hell happened? Where did it all go wrong, kind of thing, because it was literally like that. 1 minute I had a fiance and the next minute I didn't, and it was, it's been tough, I met Rico a year and a half after I came out of rehab, and it's the second significant relationship I've had in my life, although splitting from the kid's father, and I had like relationships in between. I guess they were just void fillers. Those relationships weren't really relationships. They were just a means by which I was trying to fill multiple voids that I had, and by going to rehab, I was given the tools to understand that actually I had to fill those voids. So when I met Rico, I had already filled a lot of my voids myself, and the ones that I haven't filled, I was very much in the knowledge that I had to be the one to fill those. So, I was in a much more stable position, and it was, I don't know how to put this, but I wasn't meeting Rico because I needed somebody. I was ready to form a relationship with someone, but I didn't need anybody. And to be honest with you, at the time when I actually met Rico, it wasn't even like I wanted a partner. I was getting into my third year of uni. I had a week off, a week left, should I say, before I was going into my third year. I'd spent the previous 2 weeks prior to meeting Rico sort of going on dates with people. It didn't work out, and I kind of closed the door on dating because I was like, okay, I'm not finding anyone. I'm going into my third year of uni, and that is my focus. And Rico and me had been friends for quite some time, and I met him on the premise of friends, really. I find him very inspirational, and when I met him in person, I just realised what a special person he was, and it was like something inside very deep told me to make this person mine, and I can't actually explain what that something was, but I know it was a feeling that I've never had before. So I took note, and I did just that. And it was very, very difficult for me to let somebody in. I'd got to this stage where I thought, okay, actually, I'm better off on my own. Like, I'm cool. And when I met Rico and we formed this relationship, I kind of had all these walls built up, walls that I didn't even know existed, because there's only so much work you can do in rehab or in any sort of therapy. Some things you have to work on when you're actually in that situation. So a lot of insecurities that I'd had from my previous relationship, substantial relationship, still existed, and I didn't realise how many there were until I was in this relationship with Rico, and there was so many walls, and they would come down, they'd go back up, they'd go down, they'd come back up, and I kind of made it very difficult for him to love me. I guess in one sense there was this very ingrained ideology that I was unlovable, and as much as I'd worked on that in rehab, I guess some of it was still there, still there. And the other side was, I didn't know if I could trust. I was scared. I was protecting myself. And so I'll be honest with you, some people would have just been like, do you know what, forget this, and gone off. But Rico, he just kind of very patiently, was there. Like, some things he understood, some things he didn't understand, but he tried to understand, but he wasn't going anywhere. And he made that very, very clear. And it took a long time for me to take those walls down and say, do you know what? Okay, you've got me. I know you've got me, and I know that my heart's safe with you. So here you go. have my heart, you know, and I trust you with it. And it was an amazing relationship. Don't get me wrong, we argued. I say we argued. He didn't argue. He never argued with me. I argued, and he'd just be like, Annie, you're really pissing me off now, so I'm going to go. I love you. And that was literally him arguing or responding to me sort of, you know. But he was just so kind. Such a beautiful, kind, compassionate human being. You know, I fell in love with Rico's soul, and I feel so privileged. Honestly, I feel so privileged to have formed an intimate connection with Rico. I was the only person on the planet that had that relationship with him, that connection with him over the past 3 years. And I feel privileged, honoured and very grateful for that, you know. And likewise, same, he was the only person that had that connection with me, that had access to me on that level. And since his passing, my first priority is and has always been my recovery. Well, since I've attained recovery, to be honest. And alcohol hasn't crossed my mind. I'll be very honest with you. It's not something that has crossed my mind to this day since he passed. Well, since the moment he was in hospital on the Saturday to this point now. But it's everything else. Recovery isn't just not using. Recovery is about regulating your emotions. It's about being self-aware. It's about being conscious of negative, thought trails, and having support in place or solutions or things in place by which you are able to redirect your thinking patterns and alter the direction of the thought trail before it starts to become detrimental to you. And I'll be honest, this has become quite autopilot to me, Prior to going to rehab, I very much ran or numbed myself from challenges and, just hard times, really. And since coming into recovery, I very much faced challenges with and then, okay, calm down, Annie. What can we do to make this better? What can I do to make this better? Since coming into recovery, my life has been like this. I came out of rehab and it was just, I was flying, and I was expecting something to go wrong, at some stage. I thought it might be like I'd crashed my car or, I don't know, something that's fixable, something that's a bit, in the moment, but it's fixable. Never in a million years did I think that I would have to face the death of somebody that is so dear to me, So I wasn't expecting this challenge. And it has been very much about me regulating my emotions, because I'm a very emotional person, believe it or not. People think, oh, you're so strong. But actually strength comes in, sort of regulation and maintenance and consistency. When it comes to either your mental health, your emotional well-being, your physical health, that is strength, where you are able to regulate yourself. Even if you do dip, you're able to recognize that and pull yourself out of that by whichever means works for you. That is actual real strength, and that's what I've had to do. Because if I was to allow myself to feel all the time, I would be an absolute fucking mess. And that is the truth. Because I'm so emotional that they have the power to consume me. And once they consume me, they control me, and I'm no longer in control. So I've had to very much, connect and disconnect from my feelings in a very regulated, I'm not going to say plan, because I don't sit here and have a planner, like I'm going to feel at 2:00 tomorrow, and, but as and when it feels right for me to do so. And it seems to have worked, in terms of work. When my manager asked me, do you want to come back to work? And I was just like, his actual words were, are you ready to come back to work? And I was just like, I'll never be ready. There's no such thing as ready. It's just that I've just got to go ahead and do it. I've just got to jump in, and we'll see how we go, and thankfully, I threw myself in the deep end and I was able to swim. But had I thrown myself in the deep end and I wasn't able to swim, I would have just been like, you know what, I've tried it. I need a bit more time, and it's about having that, self-awareness. Sometimes you don't know what you're capable of until, you try it. And it's okay if once you try it, it's not working for you. At least by trying it, you figured out that it wasn't working for you, you know. I think about Rico all day, every day, you know, all day, every day. He's in my thoughts. I talk to him often. I post about him often because it helps for me to keep him alive. You know, I'm not crazy. I know that he's not alive, but I think it just brings me comfort speaking to him, knowing that he's there in may not be in physical form and I can't see him, but he's there in spirit, in energy, in whichever, you know, I don't know what happens when someone dies, but I'd like to hope that, you know, there is something after death. And I'm not religious, but I am very spiritual. So his spirit is around me and he can hear what I'm saying, even if he can't respond. And so, you know, I do that all the time. I speak to him all the time and it just helps, you know. I still feel like I'm in a relationship, you know. I still feel like I am his. I guess I'll always be his. When he passed away, he took a piece of me with him, you know. He took my heart with him and he left his heart to me, and I will always belong to him, that, you know, and he will always belong to me. But right now, as it stands, I very much feel like I'm in a relationship. I still feel like I have a fiance, even though I do know that I you know, that through no fault of his or mine, I no longer am in a relationship and I no longer have a fiance. But in my head, I still feel like that, you know, and I'm thinking it will take some time for me to come to a place where I'm like, okay, you know, it even feels wrong even saying it, I'll be honest, but at a place where I'm just like, okay, I'm, as much as I want to be Rico's fiance, I you know, he has passed and I am now not in this relationship anymore. And that's okay because it's nobody's fault. And it's okay to, I don't want to use the word move on because being with somebody else or any other man is not even entered my head, but move forward as not the Auni that's no longer in a fiance. Do you know what I mean? And that hurts to even say that, to be honest, but I'm sure that will come in time. But as it stands right now, you know, that's how I feel. Because he was my fiance, you know, and the only person on the planet that had access to me on such an intimate level. And I'm not talking about sex, I'm just talking about intimacy all, you know, all round. That's the bit I miss the most. I miss his calls in the morning. I miss his smile. I miss his eyes. I miss his touch. I miss doing things with him. He was just such a romantic person. We were a very tactile couple. My love language is physical touch, and so was his, and those are the things I miss, you know. His voice. I listen back to his voice notes often. He used to sing to me sometimes. I didn't even know that men like him existed, to be honest with you, and I felt very unlovable. And he taught me that I can be loved, you know, and he was just beautiful. When I think of Rico, I'm filled with love, literally just filled with warmth and love. Because he loved me so effortlessly. And just the fact that I'll never be able to, I know that he's in spirit and stuff, but I'll never be able to physically hold him, you know. That's the hardest bit. That's the bit that I find really, really difficult. But I'm trying my best to keep walking this path that I'm on, to be more self-aware, to have support in place. I've been I don't say filling my time, but I've been grieving in a way by, when my friends reach out, I've been saying, okay, should we go out for dinner? Okay, let's go out. Doing things with my kids, just doing things that are not going to be detrimental to me, but I'm not also putting myself in a position where I'm just isolating or keeping everything inside, because that's what I did before and it didn't work. It got to a stage where it was just too much. So I'm, with people that I love and trust, I have been allowing myself to be open with those people and allowing myself to be supported. And that's difficult as well, because as the past 4 years, I have got to a place where I've needed less support. Initially when I came out of rehab, I really needed a lot of support, when I had my family, my mum, my dad, my sisters, my children, Dilesh, Jazz, and a few amazing friends, and then I became so good at, knowing myself and knowing what I need to do that I needed the support less. And all of a sudden I'm in this position where I need support all over again. And that is hard, but it's necessary. Some hard things are necessary to do, and that's why I'm doing them. I've come to with every other trauma that I've experienced, it's been a case where I've got support or been to rehab with the intensive therapy, and I've managed to heal myself, and move forward and turn my mess into magic, almost use my experiences to empower me so that I can empower other people and support other people and raise awareness. But grief is something I've never ever experienced in my life. I've never lost anybody I loved ever. And I have come to realize that it's not something I can fix. I can't fix this. I don't have the ability to fix this. Of course, as time goes on, I guess it will become easier. I'll become better at carrying the pain and the whatever else that comes with it. But at the same time, it's always going to be there. That dent that, Rico's passing has left in my life is always going to be there. That void is always going to be there, and I can fill it with love, but it also is filled with pain at the same time. Very much like now, I think of something and it makes me smile, and then I remember that I'm never ever gonna see him doing whatever that memory is, or see him smile, or any of those things ever again, and that brings pain. And it's his eyes I miss the most. Yeah, he had the most beautiful eyes. Yeah. Just a very, very special person. And I feel honoured that I got to spend the last 3 years with him. Honestly, I really do, because I've experienced something that a lot of people never get to experience in a lifetime. And that makes me very blessed and very grateful. But it doesn't make it any easier. In fact, it makes it harder, because he was not a dickhead, because he was such a beautiful person. The fact that he's no longer around in my life makes it all that much more difficult. But I'm trying my best, I'm trying my best to keep walking, to keep moving, to ensure that I don't crumble, to ensure that I don't destroy everything that I've worked so fucking hard to build, to get to where I'm at now. It's been a lot of hard work. People think, oh, she just posts videos. No, I do so much work on myself. The fact that I do so much work on myself is reflected in how I've not slipped back to alcohol during this really shitty fucking hard time. So I do so much. I don't need to post about everything I do, but I do so much work on myself, and it's a daily thing, constant self-reflection, constant how do I make myself better, constant how do I, if I was to face a situation again, how would I respond better so the outcome's better. It's constant, it's all the time. And I learn so much of people I support as well, so it's not a one-way street, and I'm just doing the best I can in a really hard situation. And Rico wouldn't want me to crumble. You know, he knew I was strong. And maybe that brings him a bit of comfort, knowing that although I'm hurting, although I'm in a lot of pain, I'm strong enough to carry on, and I won't self-destruct, and I won't go backwards. And, you know, I'll ensure that I just keep building bigger and better. But yeah, it's hard. It's been hard.